Hey, Alton Brown here in the cabinet that is our cabinet cabinet and on Good Eats. It's empty pretty much right now because we're not in production, although we still do have some cans of Roadside Delight flavored dog food. Long story from where that came from. Where's the one that's extra crispy dog food? We've got one that says now with the cats. Anyway, I understand that there are still some folks out there that aren't totally clear on the difference between baking soda and baking powder. Easy to get them mixed up in recipes because they do look exactly alike, but they do not function the same. Okay, so here's the deal. Baking soda, bicarbonate of soda, as it's often called, certainly in England, is a base. Okay, that means it has a very high alkaline, and when it mixes with an acid like lemon juice or buttermilk, the two get together and release a lot of gas. Okay, you probably, when you were a kid, saw one of those baking soda rockets that at least we used when I was a kid in the 60s, where you put in the baking soda, you pour in vinegar, and then you close the thing up and it would launch from the expanding gases from that chemical reaction. But it has to have an acid. Okay, so you use this stuff, you've got to have like the lemon juice or the buttermilk or what have you. Baking soda contains baking powder, but it also contains an acid in the form of tartaric acid or cream of tartar, which means this can make gas all by itself simply by getting wet. And a lot of times other chemicals are added so that it releases even more gas when it reaches a certain level of heat or a certain temperature in the oven. Those are called double acting baking powders. So you don't need an additional acid for this, okay? This is what is in self-rising flour, okay? This is what we bake with. Very often, though, they are used in tandem. You will end up using sometimes maybe a tablespoon of baking powder, and then maybe just like a quarter or a half teaspoon of baking soda. That's usually when a recipe has other ingredients in it to balance or counteract flavor. For instance, in some chocolate chip cookies, you would use both because they have brown sugar in them, and brown sugar is acidic because of the molasses that's on the brown sugar. So the baking soda would help to get an extra lift out of that situation because this is balanced. Okay, this is a balanced formula. It doesn't need anything, so you add a little bit more of this. The pH, the overall acidity or alkalinity of a batter or dough, can be affected by the addition of these, especially this, and that sometimes, depending on the baked good, can also change browning. So not something you want to mess around with. You can make your own if you know how. If you don't have baking powder, you can mix together certain proportions of baking soda and tartaric acid, but they won't act exactly the same because they won't have the double acting capacity. The other thing is that usually there's an anti-caking agent in here and a desiccant of some type to keep moisture from coming in and making that reaction release itself early. Cream of tartar also has a lot of uses by itself. It is used, for instance, when whipping egg whites because as an acid it can break down some of the protein bonds and help to beat eggs better. So there you go. Tartaric acid and baking soda are the base of baking powder, but none of these things are exactly the same. Got it? Good. I'll be back later. I like this place.